I'm going to be, that's as far as I'm going to go right now, but I'm just going to say, please, keep us involved so that we can, that we don't have this issue again. And welcome. Thank you, Diane and Diane.
Thank you. And thank you, Senator Hansen, for your comments. We will absolutely address some of those as we go through this. My name is Diane Golzinski. I work for the Michigan Department of Education. I'm the director of the Office of Health and Nutrition Services. We assist in administering this pilot project on the statewide level, along with our partners, the Michigan Department of Ag and Rural Development, the MSU Center for Regional Food Systems, the Prosperity Regions, as you noted, as well as our friends at Groundworks, and Diane is here with me to talk more about their role. I want to thank you for a second year to be able to pilot this and try to find a way to streamline and make this better for the schools and the farmers that are involved so that we can get these great produce items to the kids and help the kids know and understand what they're eating and why it tastes so much better than what they would get otherwise. So we're very excited about the changes that we've made, the progress that we've made, the streamlining that we've done to make it easier, as well as improving the integrity of the program. With the additional funding this year, we were able to add an additional prosperity region, as you know. With that, we were able to double the number of districts that received funding. We were able to double the number of students reached as a result of this program and double the number of school buildings reached as a result of this program. To date, we are 50% through the project, and we've spent over 60% of the funds available because the schools we've learned from the process, but the schools have also learned from the process in terms of how we can do this, how we can connect to farmers. We have programs that we're doing to help connect the buyers and the sellers. For example, this afternoon I'm going to the Flint Farmers Market where we have the buyers sitting around the room and the sellers are coming in and able to make those connections so that we can do even more in terms of assisting those farmers to connect with those schools. Our friends at Groundworks, Diane is going to talk to you more about what she's doing, but what we've really tried to do with our partnership level is look at what the strengths are of each of those partners and maximize on those strengths so that we can best benefit this program. So our friends in Prosperity Region 2 have expertise in connecting to farmers and communications and writing those stories, and so that's what they do to assist with this project. Our friends in Prosperity Region 9 have specific expertise in evaluation. So they're really helping us look at how we can evaluate and assure that we are meeting the highest level of integrity for this program and every dollar that gets spent through this program. So we're very excited about what we've done, and I'd like to turn it over now to Diane to tell you a little bit about the stories and the people behind who's benefiting from this.
Thank you, Senator Hansen, and the entire committee. We really appreciate the funding for this. I'm Diane Connors, and Groundwork Center, our background on this is that we conducted a 3-year pilot project in our region in Northwest Michigan that preceded the state pilot, so testing the model there. And now I serve as the communications partner with Michigan Department of Education and Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development to continue to tell the stories as this concept continues to get tested. And so I wanted to just start with a couple of quotes, one from a food service director and one from a farmer, to give you some sense of the views that people who are out there working this in the field, in the schools, and literally in the fields, would like to see the funding for this put back into the budget, continued and expanded. A food service director said, "The local food that I am able to get, it looks a lot better. I'm getting longer shelf life out of it, it tastes better, and students are definitely grabbing it on the lunch line." And that was Megan Eckler, who is food service director for Bedford Public Schools in Prosperity Region 9. And then from a farmer, farm to school is consistent business with consistent pricing. When I started with schools, I was told student consumption had doubled and tripled in in apples. It's nice to hear you are making a difference. And that's Mike Gavins of Gavin Orchards in Ottawa County in Prosperity Region 4. So I provided those quotes just to show the impact of 10 cents a meal on the program purpose, which was to invest in children's daily nutrition and eating habits in the school setting, and also invest at the same time in Michigan's agricultural and related food business economy. And the sources for what I'm sharing with you are from our stakeholder interviews that Groundwork has been conducting, and also the MSU Center for Regional Food Systems has been working with MDE in terms of some monthly required surveys of food service directors. So on children's nutrition and eating habits, on knowledge, there are a lot of lessons that have been developed, like the Intermediate School District in Traverse City has lessons vetted by curriculum directors there, curriculum specialists. But what I've included here is a couple of quotes from food service directors from the surveys that MSU has conducted. One says, "A major positive is the educational opportunities that it has offered the students. The students were able to sample or receive items that they were not familiar with, learn about the growing process, and complete activity sheets." And then another food service director said, "Many of our students have never had the chance to eat the vegetables that we are using, so it's been a learning tool. I would love to see the program continue." A lot of schools in all 3 prosperity regions that are now included in this have been conducting taste tests with kids to try to get a sense of their selection and preference for different foods. At Region 9, at one district, more than 80% liked potatoes, apples, and blueberries, and they were asked to vote on whether they liked it or disliked it. In Region 2, at 4 districts, they voted on tried it, liked it, loved it, and more than 80% loved winter squash. Now, it's not going to be the same at every district. In Region 4, at 2 districts, only 22% loved winter squash, 61% loved roasted cabbage, and at 1 district, much to the surprise of the food service director, after menuing it a few times, giving kids a chance to try things a few times, 83% liked Brussels sprouts, and they were voting on...
You expect me to believe that. 83% like Brussels sprouts.
They were voting on liked or disliked. And on consumption, a couple of examples that we have here is Karen Elam, food service director for Hart Public School District in Prosperity Region 4. She talked about having a share table. And she said, "We have a share table where kids can put things that they don't want. We'll see a ton of commodity produce up there, but when we serve our local fruit, we only see 1 or 2 pieces." And Beth Kavanaugh, who's food service director for the public schools of Petoskey in Prosperity Region 2, talked about trash. And she said there's reduced food waste with an increase in student consumption of fruits and vegetables. This is noticed not only by the lunchroom aides and cooks, but by the custodial staff. They literally grab me by my arm, walk me to the trash, and show me how much food is not wasted anymore. And the MSU Center for Regional Food Systems, in their surveys, they have that the food service directors said that they've tried 65 new Michigan-grown fruits and vegetables and beans for the first time with their kids this year. That's up from 49 new foods at the same time last year in the same survey. So now that I've talked a bit about improving children's daily eating habits, and their nutrition in the school setting, I wanted to talk about the second purpose of the program, which was economy, and look at it from the perspective of both the buyers and the sellers. So for the sellers, we've found that it's fostering collaboration and business relationships as well as sales, obviously. And so I'm giving just one example. I could have given many, but this is from Mark Coe, who is the managing partner with Farm to Freezer, which is based in Detroit, and now because of growth, based in Traverse City is where it started, and now because of growth, they've actually opened up a new location in Detroit as well, so Prosperity Regions 2 and 10. And Mark said, we got to a point with our growers that our needs far surpassed what we could freeze at our location. So we did deals with other processors, Leelanau Fruit, Michigan Freeze Pack, and Hart. When the school year started, sales increased in the fall. Then there was a downturn over the holidays. Once school started back up, our packing ramped back up. 10 cents a meal is definitely noticeable in our business. And the buyers expressed customer satisfaction and changes in purchasing habits. So we have Jessica Endres, who's Food Service Director for Thornapple Kellogg School District in Prosperity Region 4, said, excuse me, the grant has inspired me to drill down into the community as much as I can. Before, I would have considered local as states surrounding Michigan. And from the MSU Food Service Director survey results, another food service director said, the quality of the products we are getting locally is leagues beyond what we were getting from our vendor. It really gives us a sense of pride to offer the kids such great food. So then I thought I'd close with two things. One is just to share with you a little bit, because I'm working on this. We're getting inquiries from people statewide about this and wondering, can it come to our region? There's room for growth within the existing 3 prosperity regions, and we're also receiving inquiries from food service directors in prosperity regions 6, 8, and 10 in particular. So we've heard from folks in Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Flint, Detroit. I know that there's other areas in I think it's 3 counties for the Prosperity Region and 10, and there's other food service directors I've heard are interested in it there, but I haven't talked with them directly. And then just to end with a quote from a child. This is from the Holland City School District, where 43 classes taste test local produce every Friday. That's in Prosperity Region 4. And this is what a child said about Golden Delicious apples. Great name for the taste. So.
Thank you. Can you kind of give me an idea? You know, you talk about expansion. First of all, we will have to expand from where we're at in the proposed budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from zero.
So what type of a cost are we looking at as we move to, if we were to look at 1 or 2 more prosperity regions, what type of a cost, being the first, you know, as it ramps up, the first year would be, I don't know if it's more or less because it's just starting. What are we looking at?
Well, you want me to answer that, or do you want to?
Go ahead.
When I started looking at, you know, when I started getting these requests, I asked MDE if they had figures for lunches, and I've been trying to sort through them by prosperity region. And I did talk with Diane because I want this to be something that's realistic, you know, for MDE to administer as well. And it looked to us when we were starting to hear from districts in prosperity region 6 and 8, and then also the existing prosperity regions, that something like 1.5 to 2 million might be what would be really valuable, because Diane can address this, but as we start to see districts with larger numbers, like in our region of Northwest Michigan, I think it would be $350,000 to fund all of the school districts in this small rural region at 100%, and it hasn't been at that point yet. Whereas if you bring in the Detroit Public Schools, that district alone would be something like $800,000 if it was at 100%. So we looked first at prosperity regions 6 and 8, based on, I think when we first talked with you, Senator Hansen, about the initial pilot year, it's like, well, if we're going to test the model, you know, let's be realistic and not ask for full funding for everybody, because there can be concentric circle learning as more schools get experience and as local food infrastructure ramps up. So looking at those schools that would be likely candidates, and I think Diane can attest that there's always also been schools that we hadn't even expected to apply, applied. Okay, so it would be more than that.
I don't mean to cut you off here, but I got one more. First, Diane, can you Diane,
right?
yeah, can you kind of maybe give me some information on cost for either or on these? That, you know, kind of a basic, some kind of an estimate of what you think it would cost. Yeah, you know, if we can't do both, if we could, you know, this year is going to be kind of an interesting budget, so.
Right.
You just give me some ideas as we look at it, because I know it's been a successful one. And the next question is, we've have, I believe it's 32 schools that have, who have been awarded this. Have all 32 sought their reimbursement yet?
Have all 32?
Have they asked for their reimbursement yet?
Yes. So not full reimbursement, because we're still working through the year, of course, but every single school building has asked for some reimbursement at that level.
Okay.
The beauty of being able to administer the reimbursement process at the department level is we can look on a daily basis and see how it's changed in real time, who has asked for reimbursement and who hasn't. It's also allowed us the opportunity to be able to work with those who are struggling to get the reimbursement or to spend the funds. So we've been able to call others and make that happen. What we've seen between the 2 years is those who are in the program for a second year were able to get started faster because they already had the relationships with the farmers. They already had the ability to purchase the products up
Right.
front, so they're spending faster.
And that's kind of why I asked about, you know, the startup costs and being different with any
Yeah.
ones that we're bringing in. So I appreciate it
Right.
very much, ladies, and great job.
Thank you. You have a copy of last year's report in case you had
Yep.
not seen it yet.
I have it right here.
And this year's report will be available in just a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.